Dear viewers and listeners, welcome to another episode of the second podcast series of the QuantiFarm project. Today, we're very glad to host Dolores Ordóñez from AnySolution, partner of the QuantiFarm project. So, Dolores, welcome to the podcast and thank you very much for joining me today.
A pleasure. Thank you so much.
So, to start our discussion, can you briefly explain AnySolution's role in the QuantiFarm project and also give us an overview of what a test case is and what it aims to achieve within the project?
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much. So, just to explain a little bit about AnySolution, we are a company located in Mallorca, in the Balearic Islands, Spain. We are a data-driven company, so we have two main departments, one more related to innovation strategies, in which we are participating in different European projects. We develop strategic plans for companies and public administration. We are also experts for the European Commission, UN, tourism, and so on. But also we have an engineering department. And from this department, we develop our own data-driven platform from which we are supporting entities, mostly in the tourism and agri-food sector, to improve the data-driven decision, to help them to ensure how they can better use managed data. And this is directly related with our role in QuantiFarm. So we are one of the pilots, one of the test cases in the QuantiFarm project. We are working not in the Balearic Islands, but in the Canary Islands, which are the other Spanish islands. And when we started working with them and the agricultural sector, especially in the bananas domain, one of the main problems that they had, of course, it was how to better use digital solutions to be more efficient and to improve also their skills in using these digital solutions. But then also the bananas are consuming a huge amount of water. So with our platform, with NADIA, what we did is to help them to know which amount of water they need for irrigating all their banana trees. But also in the test case, what we did is to compare which are the digitalization skills for a farmer that is very used to technology developments and another one that is completely new in this world of technological solutions.
Thank you very much for this very nice overview. And also, can you describe, you said a few words about the bananas test cases that you're actually implementing in the Canary Islands, but can you describe the test cases, the test case that you are managing in more detail so as to make us more familiar with the whole concept? And tell us a little bit more about the main goals and the expected outcomes of the test case.
Yes, for sure. So when we started with the project, the first thing was to analyze how familiar were the farmers with digital solutions. So I think this is one of the aims also in QuantiFarm, in which we want to improve these skills and knowledge of the farmers by using these digital solutions that are going to help them to be more efficient, to take better decisions, but also to increase their productivity and to be more competitive. This is something that we were wondering, and we were working a lot with the farmers in the Canary Islands. But in the project, we wanted to go a little bit beyond that. We wanted to understand that, there are some farmers that are already using technological solutions, and there are other farmers that they are not using at all any kind of digital solution. And we want to compare which are more efficient, which are the barriers, which are the gaps that they are covering with these digital solutions. So with the farmers that they had more digital skills, we helped them to understand how can they improve a little bit more the solutions that they had. So they had some sensors in place, but they were not very well connected among them. So there were still some manual things when they were gathering data. So we helped them to understand how the data could be transported, how they could use gateways to send this data and to be more efficient also in receiving this data, and also how they could use this data to take decisions and automatizing, for example, all the watering, all the irrigation system that they had. At the end, with them, we ensure that after the end of the project, they have saved more than 20% in water management, which is a huge amount of water in a crop as the bananas, which consumes a lot of water for them being a good quality bananas. And then with the others, what we were doing was to inform them about which digital technologies exist. You know that sometimes the barrier is not only the price, but it's also which is the resistance to change some of the behaviors that for many years these people were putting in place to grow their bananas. So what we did is to step by step introduce them and to explain them, and also because within QuantiFarm we have created this toolbox, and I think it's important because it gathers perfectly all the steps that a farmer needs in order to be more digital, or at least to break a little bit this resistance to change and this barrier to know which these digital solutions exist and could be applied for them.
Yes, and also the traditional methods that they actually are using in their daily lives. We need to persuade them that this can be changed and you can use more effective methods and you can try digital technologies and also improve the uptake of these technologies for their own good, right?
Yes, for sure. I think this is the important thing. So one of the paths that we have to follow is to understand how they work. And if we want to introduce a change, this change should be for a better reason. So they are really need to feel that they are going to change something, but they are going to get something for this change. So I think it's how are we going to keep all this knowledge that they have that are based in traditional methods, and how the new technology, the solution, the data is going to be used to improve the ways in which they are growing, in our case the banana. So I think it was something that we have to put in place, and also it was very important that they feel ourselves as a part of their team. It's not like only an external that goes there and said, oh wow, you have to use the technology, but it's also that we work with them, we try to understand them, we try to help them, and also then we try to adapt the solutions to the real needs that they have.
Exactly, and now that you have this experience with the demo events and the test cases that you have already performed, do you have any feedback that you would like to share with us from the farmer's point of view? Have they been involved in these activities?
Well, I think that it's important to work together with different farmers. I think for us also it was very important to work with a cooperative, because at the end it's a way in which we work with another bigger ecosystem in which they can see how the different advances are going to be put in place. Also, it's important to generate economies of scale, because also working with islands, the prices are higher. So I think it's important also to understand that sometimes the prices that we can have we can find in mainland are not the same that can be found in the islands. So also because the shadow areas for connectivity are completely different. So there are some places in mainland that they don't have any problem with Wi-Fi or to send the data, but in the islands sometimes due to the geographical definition of the areas, it's more complicated. So we find in some areas, and it was also in our case, that we had some problems with the shadow areas. So it was complicated how to solve the problem. So we had to be a little bit go to the basics and to understand which were the problems. So we were speaking about data and platforms and so on, but then we had to go from the very beginning to understand, okay, where the sensors were installed and which gateways were needed in order to receive the data. So we try to solve all these problems. And then I think it's very important to speak with them, to try to speak with them. Of course, we are in a framework of a European project, we're speaking in English, but when you speak with the farmer, you have to speak their own language. And I think
that's very important.
That is a very good lesson learned, because sometimes with all the documents and gathering and questionnaires that we had to implement for the project, we had to translate it. So I think it's important also to make things easier, because in our case, we want to learn to generate these toolbooks and to generate solutions that are going to fit to their needs. But that's why we really need to go with them and to understand which are their needs in order to develop something that is completely adapted to what they need.
Great, thank you very much. So the challenges were very clear, the connectivity, the challenges that someone may encounter in an island, not in the mainland, and of course the language barrier that you mentioned, that you have to speak their own language so that the connection is better and they understand and trust you. So from what you have heard so far, did they respond in a positive way towards adopting technology, thinking about adopting technology?
Yes, I think this was a very positive outcome of the project, because at the end they could show the result. They really test it, not in an environment in a lab, but also in the real environment, how technology work, how technology make easier their decision making, how technology had a direct impact in their billing, because at the end of the day they have to pay for the water, and if you have this reduction on the 20% of consumption of water at the end of the year, it's also a huge amount of money, but also it's very good for the environment, so they are increasing also their sustainability. So I think if we can continue working with them in not so short period of time, and I think this was a very positive also from QuantiFarm, the fact of we have been working with them for almost 4 years, so 3 years and a half. So they know we have generated also this trust, and also they are seeing that, okay, technology is evolving, but they have someone that is with them, helping them to understand this technology and applying this technology.
This is great, yes, and also trust, as you mentioned, is a very critical factor for farmers to move forward with these new digital solutions, or that, as we mentioned them in the QuantiFarm project. And now I would like to ask you, besides the challenges, besides the feedback, I would like to take you to the organizing part of the demo events and the test cases. What steps has AnySolution taken to promote knowledge sharing between test cases, particularly through demo events?
Well, I think it was very, very interesting because when we started working with the cooperative of the bananas in the Canary Islands, we didn't went there and went directly to the cooperative, but we did it through the regional government, so the government of the different islands and also the government of the island. So, and I think this was good because we generate the kind of connection with part of the ecosystem from the administrative point of view. So when we decided to organize the demo event, what we did is to ask for the support of the authorities at regional government, at island government, and also the universities and other stakeholders. And of course, we were working with the cooperative because we really wanted for them to be involved. We have to say that at the beginning they were shy when we were changing the agenda and we were explaining what we wanted to do. I said, oh wow, I don't want to speak in public, I don't want, so for me this is complicated and so on. But at the end it was very nice because they felt part of the project, and they were the ones explaining how the project goes, what were the actions that we implement together, which were some of the learnings. And it was also interesting because we organized the demo event directly in the cooperative. Of course, this is a very big cooperative, so it's located in the mountain, completely surrounded of banana trees. So it's so nice. And then we had the possibility to visit the area. So I think what is important when organizing these events is to get a good promotion, but despite of that, what is important is to involve the right people, because sometimes it's not the number of people attending these events, but to have the right people, quality people, that then they could also help us to continue transferring all this knowledge.
Great, thank you very much for your answer. And since you follow a very concrete methodology for knowledge sharing and promoting and organizing these events, do you use any specific methodology to collect feedback from these farmers and understand concretely if this was helpful for them? What did they manage to understand? Are they eager to learn more and adopt digital technologies? Do you use any feedback collection like this?
Well, yes, we are very lucky because QuantiFarm has a very nice methodology with partners with a huge expertise in this area. So what we did is to follow all this methodology for gathering all this feedback. which is also very important because at the end in this project we are not the only test case, there are other test cases, and the fact of following the same methodology, this allows also to compare from the feedback to one to another. And I think all the ways that all these surveys were defined together with us, and I think also that's what very nice because it comes from universities and research centers with a huge expertise in gathering feedback, but they haven't done this alone. So we had the possibility to work together with them in defining these surveys and adapted them to the reality of our test cases. And then for gathering the data, we went directly to the farmers. And I think this is also very important. So not to think, okay, we sent an email or we sent a link and they will gather all this information by themselves, but also to be with them, to try to help them as much as we can, because some of the surveys were very short, but another ones were longer. And you know that when someone tries to fill in a survey and it's more than 5 minutes, people used to withdraw. But it's important if the times that we had longer surveys, because we wanted really to gather more information, sometimes we try to do it in the format of a kind of interview, because it's easier to gather the information in this way.
Yes, and of course, real conversations with real people that can also exchange some thoughts and perspectives is also very valuable for our research and work within QuantiFarm, right?
Yes, well, this is perfect. At the end of the day, I think the human touch, it has always an extra value. So we mentioned before this fact of generating trust. I think when you know the person and you know that how complicated could be their day-to-day, because at the end also the farmers have their activities, so they have to be working in the farm because they have to produce, but then also they have a lot of requirements from the health system, from the public administration. They have a lot of controls. Sometimes also the big supermarkets go there to make them more controls and so on. And to have someone that goes there and to start asking them more information and filling these surveys and so on, sometimes for them it's hard because they have other things to do. So what we try is to minimize the time that they had to consume in organizing this, to try to do it face to face, or to try to do it in a way that is easier for them to fill them in. And also this has facilitated that we have gathered all the information that we needed for the project.
Exactly, thank you very, very much. And how are you evaluating whether the digital tools tested are bringing real value to the farmers and improving their practices?
Well, I think the first real value was to show the bill and to make a comparison from one year to another, because at the end of the day, if you can compare the amount of water that you have consumed one year and the next year by using the technologies, I think this is great. What we did also in QuantiFarm, and this is also very important, is we also compare from the farmer that is using technologies and the farmer that is not using technologies. So I think this kind of comparisons is also very good for them, because they can compare that by using technology they are more efficient, they can produce more, they can be more competitive, but also their day-to-day is easier, because sometimes you don't have to go there to check if the irrigation system works, but you have a sensor that already mentioned you, okay, this is working or not, or you have to go there because you have a signal that is not right. So I think this kind of things are very important, and what is important is to bring all these people to the ground, not to explain it only in a very nice PowerPoint, but to have the possibility to get together with these people, to bring them to see how these technologies are being deployed and which are the results that they get by using these technologies.
So now that you have performed all these activities in the Canary Islands and the banana test case that you're actually managing, have you identified any good practices or nice specific lessons learned that you would like to share with us?
Yes, I think the first one is that we cannot give everything for granted. So when we were developing also the tool books and we were thinking which are the technologies that we could use in the Canary Islands, the first thing was that, okay, we can have all the sensors, we can try to gather as much data as we can, but if they have shadow areas, we are not going to get all this information. So I think this is very important, and this is a good lesson learned on how we really need to know the place, we need to know how the territory is organized in order to know if the connectivity is not going to be a barrier to use this technology or any other technology in the future. And I think a very good practice is to work directly with the farmer, to show them with a real life environments how technology works, and to have someone that is close to them, that has generated trust with them, in order to help them to understand which are the steps that they have to follow in order to implement all these technologies, be successful, but at the same time ensure that everything works and it generates a benefit and a value for them.
Now, last question before we finish our discussion for today. What are we expecting from AnySolution? I mean, the project is approaching its final phase now. We are actually 3 months or 4 months before the actual finalization of the project. So, what are the next steps for AnySolution?
Well, we are quite lucky because we are engaged in other projects. So indeed now we are working also in the deployment of the agricultural data space, and also we are coordinating the deployment of the tourism data space. Data is something key. And also we are continue working with the farmers. And I think this is very important because now we are gathering a lot of knowledge and we are learning a lot from these deployments and activities that we are doing. So I hope that in the future we will increase our possibility to work with more farmers, and we will have also our platform NADIA that is going to be used by more farmers, and we will help them to be more efficient, more competitive, but also more sustainable.
Great. Thank you very much for today's podcast and for participating and sharing all this very valuable information from your side.
A pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And as for you, dear viewers and listeners, thank you very much for watching this episode. And don't forget to stay tuned for all the next episodes.